Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tuesday Talk, the podcast. I cannot believe we are already in episode 9, okay? And as it is March, we are finally kicking off the March segment, which is business, money, and purpose. All things business, all things money, all things purpose. And of course, for the March segment, it is only right to have my business partner here, Charese Chambers. You guys, she is a bookkeeper and a financial literacy coach with experience in small business and nonprofit community, who is most passionate about helping clients profit and scale. Can we also bring up the fact that she is an award-winning business mentoring coach? Let's not forget that. Not one time, not twice. Wait, what is it, about 4 times now?
It's a couple times, and I'm nominated for Young Business Person of the Year this year as well. So by the time voting will be closed by the time this comes out, but let's say we praying faithfully that we get good results. Okay.
Yes, period, y'all. This is not an ordinary coach, not an ordinary business coach, nor an ordinary financial literacy coach. She is an multi-award winning coach. So this is definitely somebody that you need in your life, that you need in your business as well. Um, and I would honestly say majority of the small businesses here in Lynchburg, Virginia, if they are successful, 9 times out of 10, Charisse has had a hand in them. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's just how I feel. That's just how I'm viewing things from the outside. That's how it looks. But without further ado, you guys, my business partner and my business hero, Charese Chambers.
I feel like you need to have like sounds like the sound
Right?
effects that people have. So
How are you
yes,
feeling
thank you.
today? How are you
I'm feeling
feeling?
really good. You guys don't know this is the behind the scenes. This is what I've been talking about in real time, right? About the planning part, and I really do feel like entrepreneurs be posting in real time, and then they get exhausted. But I feel good. We're planning and plotting, and we're seeing the fruits of the seeds. I'm seeing the fruits of the seeds way faster these days than ever before. You've been planning, or maybe I planted them a while ago and didn't know, but this feels like a reaping season.
A reaping season. Oh, okay. So how did we even get this far, Charisse? What's the story? Like, what is your story? Because like you in the reaping season, you receiving the harvest, and it starts with aerating the soil and planting the seeds and all the things. So like when was your seed planting season? Like where did you start to even become the boss that you are today?
Shoot, I would say to be honest with you, so unlike most people's stories, I never aspired to be an entrepreneur. I legit really wanted a corporate job, wear navy suits to work, wear my glasses, go into the bank, help the people with their monies. That's it, right? And really what happened was the trajectory changed probably about 2000.
Mm.
Um, I was, working a job that I really liked, but then was like, I feel like there's something more. I'm not even feeling like that, particularly the more. But I started conceptualizing like what would it look like for me to work in my industry because I've been working some jobs, but not really what I went to school for. And then I started doing taxes at a tax firm, and realized that they were so if you get your tax return fast, like a rapid refund, basically it's a payday loan in one.
Yeah.
And basically if you ever looked at the itemization of the receipt, you'll see like they'll charge you for filing your taxes, but then they charge you for that rapid loan because basically it's guaranteed money. They've done your tax return, they know how much money you're going to get back. So basically they front the loan on the back end, give you the money up front, and then they get your refund to repay the money that they gave you, but they charge you for that because they're doing it in real time. And I was like, listen, if I'm gonna get $3,200, I want all of my money, not $2,700 because
Hey,
you
here.
making me pay the fees on the back end. But the reality
Mhm.
situation is that a lot of people who are in those kind of positions, it's because they are already 3 months behind on their rent. They are already two
Mhm.
months behind on the car note, right? So they need their money now. So I get the desperation of needing to be made whole in a situation because you think that you're about to lose something. So really I came from a perspective of like, how do I educate people around their monies, right? And have a serious conversation. And it's not even about like what's right or wrong about your money. I hope that we get into a deeper conversation about a post I made just a week ago
Yeah.
of the conversation. Also myself, listen, I went to a college where they used to have the credit card people sitting outside the cafeteria and like, you should sign up for a credit card. Girl, I don't know. And because school didn't teach us that, and the crazy part is I went to school for accounting, right? So you're thinking, oh, you're a finance person. No, knowing what numbers do and actually day-to-day numbers is two different things.
Yeah.
So I ended up racking up 11 credit cards
Woo.
before I turned 25. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And I was paying the minimum and I couldn't get in front of my head. And
Mhm.
so I did a consolidation for the first time and that saved me and I was able to pay down shoot, I think it was almost about $25,000 of debt credit card debt in 2.5 years instead of 12 years if I'd have paid the minimum
Yeah.
every month, right? So I kind of it kind of peeped something into me like, oh, this is how credit works. Oh, this is how finances work. This is how cash flow works. This is what it looks like to have something in your savings account. And from then, really, that's where the bug bit me. And then I conceptualized doing taxes. And then 2006 started capital fundamentals. Capital fundamentals, legit, still working my full-time job, corporate job, getting per diem, getting very good health care benefits, getting matching 401ks. Listen,
Jeez.
this is yeah, I was an adult, okay? 2018, I actually solidified financial fancy and went from a sole proprietor to a single member LLC. And that's when things really took off. I conceptualized what did it look like for me to do my business full time. So I started offering bookkeeping services, and that in itself had afforded me to be able to leave my job and do financial fancy by itself. Now that did not come with minus any struggles. We did have a little struggle bus, and still do now and then. Um, and then now conceptually, I am now I was like, so when people ask me, what do you do? I'm like, I'm not a bookkeeper, but I'm not a tax professional, and that's where a fractional CFO became birthed about 2 years ago. So now I am a fractional CFO. So that's the whole story in like, I hope like 5 minutes.
Fractional CFO. So, okay, let's all take note about the fact that she said this all started back in 2000.
Mm,
Okay, so my girl has not just been doing this for a good time. She has been doing this for a long time. Very experienced in what she does. And this is why. Oh, so, and that reminds me. So, all of that actually brings me back to what you said, your word of advice that you would give the people, because I always ask that. You said consistency. What does it take to be consistent from 2000, from the time that like you started kind of peaking the idea of what it looks like to take this business on to now 2024? That is 24 years. Were you always
listen,
consistent? How, like, what were your thoughts?
you know what? I got afforded the opportunity to go to Invest Fest last year, and I never even really conceptualized the term this particular way, but I will say it the way that Miss Nikki, who does she teaches people how to use AI in their business.
Hmm.
Um, I she says consistency is what you promise your people.
Okay.
So if you
Wow.
promise your people that, okay, like the podcast, you're gonna put a podcast out once a week.
Yep.
Nothing more, nothing less, right? And I think we forget that as entrepreneurs, we actually get to make the rules. That's the fun part of the entrepreneurship. Now, there's a little catalyst about around that though. The more you show up, for me, because I'm a numbers person, I'm a data girl. The more you show up, the more data you have to make more educated decisions around your business, right? So if you
Mhm.
post Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that's your consistency. You're promising your audience that. But could you analyze your information more or have more information if you post it Monday through Friday? So we're talking about 2 additional times, 52 weeks in a year. You're talking about 104 more posts than you would have if you posted 3 times a week for you to be able to tell your conversion rate, right? How much money does it cost for me to obtain a client? Increase visibility. how many more people will see you on social media or whatever advertising platform you have, and then really making a strategic plan around how you spend your advertising money, because organic reach is great, but you gonna have to, for me, putting money behind myself changed the game for me in a different way that I didn't even know that I needed in my business. So consistency is what you promise your audience, but also remember, like, how do you want to show up? What
Correct.
does that actually look like? And really aligning that with the goals, and then aligning that with your uh, I love the word assess uh um what's the word? Quantifying your time, right? Quantifying what you do. So saying you want to make six figures is one thing, but saying, oh, I need to make $1,000 every week to make that six figures is a whole nother conversation, right? We need to,
Yes.
as entrepreneurs, we're visionaries. That I'll never take that away from anybody. Every entrepreneur I know has big dreams,
Yep.
but what's the vision? I was telling
Mhm.
a client the other day, I said, you've given me the vision, right? You've executed on that. Now dream. And dream gives you a space of, now anything's possible,
Correct.
right?
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. And so, okay, and even speaking about like the different conversations surrounding like, you want to make six figures in a year, but then to say, you have to make $1,000 a week for that. So let's touch on like the stigmas or the aesthetics that like entrepreneurs believe. Like when they, you have people who hear the word entrepreneur and immediately all these different things come to mind. It's like, oh, six-figure business, and I get to make my own schedule and I get to do my own thing and all this other stuff. So like, what are some of the things that you see new entrepreneurs or even entrepreneurs who have been in the game who still have not quite figured it out yet? Like, what are some of the aesthetics or the stigma surrounding entrepreneurship that actually hinder entrepreneurs in their business growth?
The copy paste method.
Mm,
So
big on that.
people, the copy paste, and what it looks like is sometimes, and I've been guilty, not necessarily the copy paste, but I am an information junkie. So
Yes.
when I first got started, I was just reading all, every day. We watching Eric Thomas every day. I'm doing this. I'm, taking in all the information and never implementing anything to see if it actually works for my business.
Mm,
So making sure, like, so last year I went to 8 different conferences, and this year I'll probably just do 3 because I need to implement what I learned.
yeah.
It does no good to get all this information, you never execute
Never
on it. Like,
use
what are we
it.
talking about, right? And then the other part is, just because somebody says one thing to you doesn't mean that's gonna work for you either. So you, like my grandpa would say, eat the meat, spit out the bones. Everything that you hear is not gonna resonate with you or work for you. And also don't be going to different people asking everybody's opinion and things of that nature. You can get very confused because everyone has different methods. And then the next thing you know, I've had people tell me, well, such and such said this. I'm like, and I'm sure that might have worked for them. I'm telling you my lived in experience, and also giving you my sound opinion about what you're asking me on without having a bias of what I think you should be doing. I've had people like advise me what they would do, and their business is a fitness business, and I do finances, baby. That sometimes those everything's not gonna work for every industry too.
Yeah.
So getting with a coach that actually understands your business, and then sticking with that one person. Don't hire 3 coaches. Get you one.
One
Get you
good one.
one. I mean, unless the coach is in something different, like it makes sense for someone to hire both of us. We have
Right.
a mindset coach, we have a business coach. Those are 2 different things.
Mhm.
But don't hire 2 business coaches, or, because they will give you different information because they have different perspectives, and we respect the perspective, but I don't want you to be confused, and then all of a sudden you're now in performance paralysis because you have too much information.
That part. The paralysis of too much information. And I love that you touched on that because we take in so much information, whether it is like continuously scrolling on social media, seeing the different lifestyles, seeing how people, live differently, seeing what they do from day to day. Like, okay, even for example, right? Like so many people now are making sure that like, I want to wake up at 5 a.m. and I want to go to the gym and then boom. And it's like, okay, you know, that's cool. But also, like, what does the rest of your day look like? Just because you wake up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym does not automatically equate to you becoming a millionaire or making six figures. So
Listen.
what else? You know what I mean? And that's that copy paste method that you were just talking about. I also really love that you said you started seeing the most results in your business when you started putting more money behind yourself. So, like, investing in yourself and investing in your business, that's actually something that I am just really learning this year. As like January, I invested in like two different things that just changed the trajectory of like everything else that I've done. And then being able to apply it, I'm now seeing results as opposed to taking in more information. Um, so what is it? What is like investing in yourself look like? Because I know that can also look different, you know, for most people too. Some people invest, you know, like more time in their business or more money or like all of it. I don't know. What would you say?
Yeah. So, for me, it's been different levels, right? Like you said, I've been doing business legit, put real when I started 18 years. That's a long time. So the first part of investing myself was being clear on what the end goal was. So maybe that was hiring a food service, right? So, it gives me more time to do the things that I like to do. Investing in myself look like hiring an assistant, right? Again, taking things off my plate and scaling. And also let's add this because I think a lot of people hear the word scaling and they know what it means, but
Yeah.
this also means creating the system that you want the silo of the person to work in, right? So when I first hired an assistant, I wasted money.
Mm,
I was like, instead of paying, because again, I'm a numbers person. I'm like, all right, instead of paying them hourly, because I know that they can do the things faster than me, I'm going to say, I just need you for 10 hours a month. And then I'm going to give you the things and I'm going to pay you this amount of money.
yeah.
Girl, I ain't never give that girl nothing because the other part of it is I wasn't planning. I was like legit doing stuff in real time. Like, okay, let me make this post right now and then post it instead of saying, hey, can you make this post? This is what I need in it. You do it, and I need this by Friday, right?
Yeah.
Because my mom was thinking so quickly. I was just like, it's probably best that I just do it right now. So I was still paying her, and I think I
Just
got her to do maybe 2 projects, and then I was like, this ain't gonna work. Because the other part of that was the projects I did give them, they were giving them to me late. So I was like, okay, so this is not even a good mix right here. So the second time, the other assistant, we worked together. It was great, and then she graduated. So I was like, dang, come on, find me another assistant. Now the assistant I have now, we have SOPs. I send her, she has the regular SOPs, like this is your job description, right? Or what I'm asking of you, because she's a contract. I can't tell her what to do, but like posting on my social media content, monthly, and then maybe an ask for a couple flyers here or there, and then scheduling appointments and just checking my calendar and things like that. So a different task. And then every now and then we have like special projects. But she already knows what to expect, right? And I think a lot of times something else that we don't conceptualize either in the growth is, can you manage people? I know we're going on a side, but let's
Oh, this is
put that on the
good.
shelf for right now, right? But also the other growth or investing myself look like, again, me going to all these conferences. So last year I went to Invest Fest. I went to the National Small Business Development Center conference. I went to St. Louis for another conference and I actually spoke there, but I was able to participate. So I went to so many different conferences and really, again, took the information, networked. You know how I feel about shaking hands and kissing babies. I'm a geriatric millennial, and that is I know it sounds old fashioned to some people, but meeting people, listen, is always going to be the bread and butter because I know for a fact for me, when people meet me in person, I done
Yeah,
close the deal 75% of the time. It
absolutely.
takes when people like see me on social media, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But when you get to see me and
You gonna catch
experience
all this
me,
energy.
baby, I know my numbers, they hit different. Like if I have a speaking engagement, I'm going to book 5%. Like book someone like money in hand. I need to sign you
Yes.
up as my bookkeeper or my coach kind of situation. So even if this, so again, that quantifying your time, even if I speak somewhere for free, I
Mhm.
know I'm gonna make some money. because I'm
Oh,
a speaker, right? So that's how you quantify your time. Because that's the other thing. I'm also been in business so long where I don't have the luxury of giving my time for free.
right.
So what does that look like, right? Again, not saying you can't do a free engagement, but you should know your numbers in a way where you're like, all right, if I show up, 10% of them people go get on my email list.
Correct.
20% of those people go get follow me on Instagram, right? And making it easy for the people, right? Instead of saying, y'all follow me on Financial Fancy CFO Instagram, baby, the last slide in this presentation go be a QR code. Just snap the picture. Just snap the pic. This is the other part of entrepreneurship that we don't talk about either. Stop making people work to be in your space. Give them
Oh,
the information. How many times I have friends and listen, I don't volunteer information because also you're not paying me for it.
correct.
But the other part is posting something I've gotten better at is showing up the way I need to in each space. So the thing
Hmm.
I post on LinkedIn is not the same thing I post on Instagram. The same thing I
Correct.
post on Twitter is not the same thing I post in Pinterest because consumers show up in different ways in each space. And what I was doing is putting a mass post on everything. And then I was like, dang, ain't nobody watching my stuff on Facebook. Okay. But then I'm like, it's popping over on Twitter. Like I'm going viral. What? Y'all like what I said over here? What I say? Let me go back. Let me say it again. Let me retweet it. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I think that we make it harder for ourselves because LaShonda said something a couple weeks ago. She was talking about getting off of Instagram. And I've been
Oh,
toiling
wow.
with that thought process since she said it, because she kind of rocked
Yeah.
my world a little bit. And she said, social media is to be social. And
Hmm.
other entrepreneurs have deboed the space and was like, you know what? I'm gonna show you my product and tell you need to buy from me when all I want to do is scroll. And you wonder why it's a
Wow.
heavy lift, why people won't buy your stuff. On
Wow.
top of you having imposter syndrome, posting once a week or not posting at all, baby. I don't
Jesus.
I constantly unfollow people on social media. Because if you don't post, baby, I no
There's no
get someone else
point.
to do it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what does that look like? And even now, I heard that TikTok, they're having some kind of discrepancy, or some of the music will be banned, or they're not. You're not. So now you can no longer. So the things that used to be the low hanging fruit, like posting a video on popular sounds and stuff like that, baby, you have to do your work. And I've been saying this, and I'll say it again, so that the people, everybody said I said it. 2024 is going to be the year for real entrepreneurs to stand up.
Ooh-wee.
People who made quick money during COVID when
Yeah.
everybody had their eyes. I've been running into even now a lot more entrepreneurs who made very fast, quick money, and because of the pandemic, and they reap the benefits of it, and now they actually see what entrepreneurship actually looks like, and they're like, ooh, yeah, this is requiring a little bit too much work.
Sustainability of it.
Hmm.
Like, can your business like actually sustain? So basically,
Hmm.
you're saying 2024, this year is going to be the year where you separate basically the people who popping off with side gigs versus the real entrepreneurs. And even,
Absolutely.
I know, okay, so what's the difference between, because that's another thing, right? People believe that, and I was one of them, that just because you're an entrepreneur automatically means you're a business owner because you have your own business and you're doing your own thing. But there is a distinct difference between entrepreneurs and business owners. What does that gap look like?
So let's replace the word entrepreneur with um a CEO, and the entrepreneur is the founder.
Okay.
So those are two different positions. Someone who's a CEO actually works for the company. So that is someone who works in their business.
Okay.
But the founder works on their business.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you're working in your business, you still have to delegate how things function, right?
Mhm.
But once you put a team in place, like I have a PR manager, I have an assistant, right? I just tell them what I need and they
Yes.
go off. And then we come together as a collective, right? And they say, Charisse, this is what I found. This is my thought process. And I say, yes, yes, no, yes, and no.
Mm.
Right. And then I just show up as a talent to show up, because if you guys don't know, I did take a full-time job with the SBDC here in Richmond because, again, I quantify my time. How do I give free services? Because that's what it is. It's free services to entrepreneurs here in the localities of Richmond, but I get a paycheck. I get paid for my time. Because then the other person was like, ooh, what does entrepreneurship look like? Because some people are like, ooh, I would never work a job. Why?
I'm not.
What are you saying? Like, let's conceptualize that. I get to have my time. Financial fancy is thriving. Okay.
Mhm.
And also I get a paycheck to give free information to small business owner. Sounds like a win-win to me.
Like, and all across
Don't
the board, you're operating in your purpose, both in the job and in your business. It's a win-win.
I mean, it's kind of like because there's the other part too. Because some people, I've had multiple conversations. I mean, I would say even you, like, um, you're like, oh, I got a job, and I'm like, that's great. Like, it's not. That's not. I don't think that's. Some people like, oh my gosh, you're not a real entrepreneur because you work in it.
I struggled with
What?
that pretty bad last year. Was it last year or towards the end of 2022? I think it was towards the end of 2022 where I decided it was best for me to like go back and get a job, right? So, it's like working on my business and business wasn't doing like all that well. But it's like at the end of the day, I still have to live. I still have a household to uphold, with my husband, like in partnership with my husband. I have a daughter, like all the things. And I'm guessing it was more so of ego that says like, you're an entrepreneur, you have your own business, like you need to make it work. You don't need to go back to work. Why would you want to go back to work? But the reality of it is you sometimes you have to do both, and that is okay. And I didn't learn until after I actually started working again that it was okay. Because then also in the end of the day, not only am I able to now, like sustain my living, but I'm also able to make extra money to fund my business while my business also makes its money. And like there are definitely some pros to going back to work or having a job. So I'm so glad you brought that up because that is very much a stigma that entrepreneurs struggle with is like, okay, if I want to do this business, I have to go all in. I don't need a job or I can't get another job or I'm not a real entrepreneur, like I'm halfway entrepreneur. And it's just like, who said that?
I think it's really the projection, to be honest with you, that um to be all to because if you were running your business efficiently, because
Mhm.
I think the projection is fear because you're like, I already struggle to run my business. How am I going to add a job on my plate? Because a job typically requires you to be there at a certain time. It requires some time, but the plus side, at least for me, that I've been experiencing going back to the workforce is I get to still make my own schedule. I still get to meet with people. So I've been able to integrate my business in a way that makes a cohesive picture for me, day in, day out. And I still get the weekends off. I still get to, go to events and I'm tapped in with the source. So a lot of times the things that I share on Financial Fancy be stuff that I heard down the pipeline on SBA or different economic development centers that I wouldn't be been able to naturally be tapped into without being present with the SBDC. So I appreciate that. And my clients, I had a follower, now a bookkeeping client, tell me that she got awarded 2 of the grants that I posted in the
Mm.
email list. And I was like, go off. You $25,000? You better. So, I'm doing the Lord's work out here again. The my mission, the
Yes.
purpose, the foundation of all this is to help entrepreneurs make sustainable businesses and make money on demand so that you can work smarter, not harder. You can
Yes.
do less and make more. That's on period. I know that for a fact. I've been doing this long enough where I know how to rinse, recycle, repeat something. And I think a lot of us haven't figured out what that magic sauce is, but it's way more simpler than what you're complicating it. And then the other part is, and you speak to this mindset, right? So I'm like, so right now I spend $1,000 in advertisements a month, and some be like, I don't even make $1,000.
Oh, that's a lot. It's like, but
That yeah, right. But the thought process is like, if you we gonna kind of jump ahead, but if y'all ain't heard, we kind of been sneak peeking it, but we really gonna go hard in February is we're putting together a retreat. And the things that we're gonna be teaching is how to create those automations so while you at work, it's doing the things that needs to on the background. Or some people's like, oh my gosh, I love all your posts. Like, oh, what did Angela post today? Because I don't know what she planned. I just look,
Okay, what she said?
I I'm like, let me go check. I'm like, dang, where I get all the likes from? I'm like, oh yeah, Angela posted. Because I'm not doing any of
Uh-huh.
that stuff in real time. And that's the reality situation. To pay her to do it, then for baby, listen, I'm living my life out here.
And that's basically what it is. So if you guys have not seen or heard on social media, which I'm sure you have, but at the end of, because as it is March, at the end of this month, Charese and I are doing an Empower Her Oasis women's retreat. So you're going to get all things business behind the scenes, she's going to teach you how to quantify your time. She's also going to teach you tools that'll make your business run smoother, easier. You go ahead and speak on the business tools, or I guess some of the business tools, because they can't get all of it. But
Right.
some of the
Nah.
things that they can expect, at the retreat.
Yeah. So really, I want to give you a plethora of all the options, right? Because what works for me, again, I'm not a coach that's like, you can only do it this way, right? If you like, there's another scheduling app, not Canva. There's a multitude of scheduling apps, right? So maybe you like to use another one besides Canva, right? Or maybe instead of using Setmore, you like Candly, right? So we're giving free resource. I use Setmore,
I
and we'll
love
always use
Setmore.
Setmore. It's free. You can put multiple things for people to choose from of services if you want to have them to have multiple options. Unlike Candly, you can only do two, and then you got to pay for it, or you can only do one, and then if you do more than one, you got to pay for it, right? So we're not trying to get you to come sit with us and then spend more money. That's another thing. I've hired a coach, and then she was like, well, now you got to spend money to do this, now you got to spend baby, I didn't sign up for that. I thought you just go tell me all the things and that was included in the price. But I didn't ask enough questions, and that's something you should ask somebody. Like, all right, if I sign up for your program, should I anticipate spending more money? Because now that puts me in a different mindset around things. Everything can't be free. We
Correct.
just gotta be honest. A thing is a thing. But I think having Canva, right? This other thing too is something I do and have been doing is when we tax plan, go through your list of all the things you pay, and then you're like, you know what? I use an this is real time for me. I was using an app to do my contracts.
Mhm.
I was doing an app to make content. I was using an app to keep track of all my receipts. I was using another, like, basically I had like 8 apps, and I was like, I think I could pare this down to 2.
Yeah.
So I got HoneyBooks. HoneyBooks keeps my contracts, it invoices. I can send my scheduling link with Setmore. I mean, it does all the things. And then talk through what does it look like to offset, or maybe find a what I call a white label marketing, where you're not
Mhm.
doing all of your content. So
Yeah.
then you can buy those packages, customize them to whatever industry you're in, and then being able to post it. And they do that for a lot of beauty industry. So they basically make your content. You put your brand colors in it, they send it to you in Canva posts, and then you send it out. So we try to do, so again, we're working smarter, not harder. And you're thinking $7-9 a month for them to send you things to post. So you're talking about
Yeah.
maybe somewhere between 40 and 50 posts. So now we're already talking about, now you're posting at least 3 times a week with content that's already pre-made, in addition to you going live once a week. Or and the other part is I make long content, and
Mhm.
I put that content into AI things that make my snippet clips, gives me titles, gives me timestamps for my YouTube. It gives me hashtags that should be popular for people to find me, and I just copy paste. Copy paste, baby. I spend an hour. I put it in the thing. It spits out the things. I pick out what I like. Put it in, schedule it, and we're done.
Literally, and that is the only time the copy paste method is allowed. When you are
Right,
literally utilizing the tools that are already created as opposed to reinventing the wheel. You cannot
right,
copy and paste purpose. You cannot
right.
copy and paste your why for your business. You can't
Yep.
copy and paste those things, but there are business tools to utilize where you can copy and paste your original content into those things. And those are some of the things that you'll be learning at the retreat. The retreat this is not just a rest and chill retreat. Okay, we really gonna be doing some workshop style.
I need
This
you
is
to bring your laptops.
yeah,
Don't
bring
bring
your
no notepad.
laptops,
Bring your
bring your notes.
laptops. I'm gonna show you how to make an automation on site. This is not a make me feel good kind of. I've been to plenty of
Correct.
listen. I've been to plenty of conferences, and you feel all. I told you I used to listen to Eric Thomas. If
Feel so
anything,
hype, and
he
then
gets
once you
you
turn
hype and make
off,
you feel good. But I gotta get beyond that feel good part and actually get to the work
mhm,
and plant those seeds so I can reap that harvest.
what does the work actually look like? You're not going to come here just to hear all the things and learn all the things and not implement, just as we discussed before. My main job, because the business, I'm going to leave the business to the business guru. I am not the business guru, okay? Like I said, she's my business hero. But when it comes to mindset, your purpose, your why, your root cause for your business or whatever it is that you're doing, like, so let's say, for an example, if you are a beginner entrepreneur or even an entrepreneur who is, or a person who is thinking of starting a business, let's say you want to come to this retreat because you want to learn all the things. Well, let's talk about the mindset that you need to have. Let's talk about what your personal life looks like, how you can even scale your personal life to fit the mold of this new this new business endeavor that you're trying to do. Maybe you are an entrepreneur and you've been in the game for 7 years. Well, you want to move on from being an entrepreneur and you want to become a business owner. You don't want to be working in your business all the time. So, what are the mindsets or the thought patterns, or even like the hidden thoughts that are literally limiting you from moving from entrepreneur to business owner after you've been doing this, for 7 years? Nobody is saying that it's overnight. But I also believe that after 7 years, you shouldn't be working in your business still this entire time. There is a fear based mentality, or there is a literal lack of clarity for as to why you're doing what you do. These are all the things that we're going to work on at the retreat on my end. So if you have not checked this out, signed up, dropped a deposit or anything, this retreat is happening March 22nd to the 24th. It'll be here in the Lynchburg area. And you can find the link to the website on any of our social medias, but also at Charese.
Financialfancycfo.com.
Period. And so lastly, the last thing I wanted to touch on is like, for people who are thinking of starting a business or in their 0 to 2 year aspect of their business, what are some key things that people really need to know when they are about to start a business or thinking of starting a business? Maybe like one
Yeah.
of the things.
One of the first things is quantifying your time. So if you're a mom, because this is the other part. I don't have no kids, but I got a lot of nieces and nephews. We already know that. Listen, I got a lot of nieces and nephews. I am the American auntie, okay? That's on period. Also, because the other thing is what happens is when we get into a pickle, we like to lean on to the crutches of our life. So we're like, oh, I'm a mom. I'm a
Correct.
wife.
Correct.
I'm a this, fill in the blank. We are all the things. Everyone is all the things. So if you don't know if you don't have time, then this might not be the right time for you to be an entrepreneur, right? So quantifying your time and knowing that you're going to have the energy or sucking it up, the other part of that too, and knowing that it's going to be rough for a little while. And a little while, I can't quantify that for you. It might be a year or two. For me, I know that I'm not going to get any sleep 2 months out the year. When tax time comes, listen, I ain't been to bed before midnight since January 29th, since tax season started on Monday, okay? And I won't go to sleep before midnight until probably April 1st, okay? That I just come to grips with it. It's okay. If I can stay up past midnight for 2 months to make $20,000 a couple bags, then we will do that, okay?
Yeah.
So like understanding what that looks like. The other part is get very clear about who you are.
Mm-hmm.
At any point, there's no entrepreneur I don't know that does not experience the isolation of doing entrepreneurship. And it's not even that people don't support you. I think we sometimes create a um what's the word I'm looking for? We create met expectations. So we think, oh, since Kayla's my friend, she should repost my stuff. That is not their responsibility. You don't even know if they're your target market. Matter of fact, she might, and y'all know she's my business partner. Kayla's my business partner. She's a mindset coach, but also I don't struggle with mindset things. Like, there's things that I talk through with my therapist. Now, that is another space. But again, so it's not a hiccup like someone's like, "Oh, you ain't never asked me for you ain't never repost." Listen,
Yeah.
it's not their responsibility. Don't ask your mama to repost your stuff. Because the other thing is, what you will create is a silo of your family and friends. And I have a client right now who basically is struggling with that, like trying to burst out of the family and friends space, who followed her Facebook page because they love her, and I love that she on the other end, unlike begging people, she has a lot of people who have been following her pages, but she's
Yeah.
not getting any new people who don't know who she is, and those are the people who are actually buying her products.
Okay,
So
the paid
so
client.
right. Yeah. So don't put that kind of burden on your family, to repost your stuff, to buy your stuff, to be in your space, and being very clear about who you are. At the death of who you are. We are going to, at the retreat, do a core value exercise, just to start my part section. Because once you're clear about what your core values are, those are the values that will navigate you in your business. So care, leadership, intentionality, right? So if those are your core values, then you're going to show up with care and intentionality as you handle your customers. And it's not going to matter who the customer is. You're always going to show up, because the other part of this is, I find people who do lean, like my family, buying stuff. When your mama get a necklace from you that you done handmade, and then it breaks, and she comes and asks you, "Hey, can you fix my necklace?" And you're like, "Baby, she's a customer. She ain't your mom at that moment. Stop it."
Mm-hmm.
And some of y'all ain't ready for those kind of conversations, because you're just like, I don't. Some of y'all ain't even conceptualize what it looks like to give somebody a refund.
Ooh.
But we're gonna talk about all that at the conference. We're gonna talk about all that
Talk
at the
about that
retreat.
at the
Listen,
retreat.
yeah, because it's a real life scenario. Like, the stop romanticizing entrepreneurship. We
Hmm.
need to have a real life conceptual idea of what it looks like to do all the things and all the facets. If Walmart, Target have refund policies, even small businesses, you need to also conceptualize what that looks like in your business.
Because that's another thing. And if you are a mom or a wife or whatever it is, you have all of these homely duties and you want to start a business, come to the retreat. Again, Charese is a
Yes.
business CFO and I'm a mindset coach, but I'm also a mom and a wife
Mhm.
who has a business, and I'm doing all the things. And it's not an impossible thing, but again, it does come to quantifying your personal life. It does come with a mindset shift, and it does come with a hard for a reason as to why you want to do what you do. Does everything else in your life align with what it is? Like knowing, like Charese said, knowing who you are. And that's something that we're going to do. We're going to get clear on those things. We have to get clear on who we are to start not just a business, but also a purposeful business. And maybe let's say maybe business is not your thing, or it's something that you thought about, or maybe you even want to up your side gig. Whatever it is, the retreat is for you too. Just know that you're going to walk away with all the tools to be successful in whatever it is that you want to do. Charisse, this was great.
Yes,
This
yes.
was fantastic. Tell the people where they can find you on the social medias.
Absolutely. So, across the board, Financial Fancy. But on Instagram, it is Financial Fancy CFO. The website is also financialfancycfo.com. If you want access to the grant list that I give out once a month, and now I've been kind of sending out grants maybe 3 times a month, because they've been kind
Yeah.
of hitting my desk a little bit more frequently, free of charge. I started this because I saw a lady charging people $100 to get grant lists. I said, "Baby, I'll do you one better. I'll give it for free." So if you get on the email list, I'll send that to you. Also, I have a blog on the website, so giving information, in addition to other resources, like what are the things you should be writing off on your taxes, how to set up long-term sustainability. I am in what I call my retirement decade. I'm going to be 41 this year, and the one thing too that we don't talk about in entrepreneurship is, if you're trying to work on your business and not in your business, you need to also create strategies around retirement, how to sit down. Like, are you going to be running your business until you die? What we talking about? If you go
Yeah.
do that, girl, get a job.
How do you know like when you're close to or hit those things if you have not scaled? Pretty much.
shoot, I mean, your bottom line really tells you the story. If you're only profiting, I shouldn't say only, but if you're profiting $2,000-$3,000 and you haven't created the infrastructure to be able to pay yourself or to set money aside, then you need to go back to the drawing board around your business structures and figuring out how to get there. Because the other part is, like you said, we talk about luxury lifestyle marketing is a real thing, but it means nothing if the game plan is to create legacy and you buying Louis Vuitton bags and you don't even pay yourself out your business or you don't have a retirement fund, then we need to have a conversation about that because I always remind people, you told me the goal was to create legacy. Now I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying Louis Vuitton bag, but what I'm saying is you're you're kind of
Veering off a
detouring a little
little
bit.
bit.
Let's put some things in order first and then buy the Louis Vuitton. We can always the Louis Vuitton bag always will be there. I promise you it will be. But let's make sure that things are in place for your children, for
Mm-hmm.
yourself, for your spouse, for the legacy of whatever you're trying to build. Um and I've been doing a lot more research around angel networking, venture capitalist things, and how do we actually, infiltrate money into our businesses. I know this is March, but we just got off of Black History Month, but this is Women's Month. I was watching a conversation on a podcast, and this guy said something so very intriguing. He said that Black businesses need to scale. That is the foundation of what we do because um, a lot of us go to college, get a good job, but what happens is that when we create businesses, 95% of us don't hire. So that means we're not scaling.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're not hiring, then that means also us when we support one another, we're not creating an ecosystem that sustains us as well. So people are looking for why we can't be competitive in the job market as entrepreneurs and small business owners is because we don't have the scalability to pay someone six figures if we want to hire them on to, into
Yeah.
our business. So what does it actually look like to scale to be able to also pay yourself six figures and hire people on long term? I'm be totally transparent, I feel like this needs to be said out loud is I want to turn all my contractors into full-time people. I am creating a board, the Brown Code Angel Network, where we have board members that actually get paid. Again, I am not about giving out free. I want to quantify everyone's time and compensate everybody to some extent, right? So but what does it look like to create those ecosystems? It's work. I'm in my first round of raising $1 million for the Angel Network, and it's not an easy lift at
Hmm.
all, not even a little bit. But we need to start creating these ecosystems so we can support one another, and figuring that out, is the first part.
Ooh, I have so many more questions. And I
Bang bang! What you got to say? Listen, we
wait
keep it
a
an hour. I saw your
minute.
interview with Angelina. You talked to her for like an hour and a half.
Wait
What's your
a
other question?
minute. I'm just taking
Listen,
all
I'm trying
this
to tell you,
in.
my brain think different. It
That's what I'm
do.
saying. That's all I can sit here and do right now. It's like the way your brain works around numbers is insane. And if you know, listen, y'all, if you know numbers is not your strong suit, get somebody else to do it. Hire Charese. Hire the business coach, the business and mentor, award winning um, coach of the year, because this is so much, this is a lot to digest. And if you need more information, if you need more detail of all these things, you either need to book a session with her, number one, and or you also need to book a ticket to the retreat. Because if you think and this is just free information. So this doesn't even compare to the value that you actually will be getting at the retreat. And I'm just going to say that, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I believe there was, I'm trying to think, the one thing that I wanted to definitely touch on as well is how has, okay, how did, because you're also on personally, this is getting personal. You're also on your walk with God. Obviously, I've been watching you. You're my business partner. I know the things. I'm in the group chat, so I know what it is. How did partner with God personally amplify your business?
And always.
And always.
It began when we went to Sarah Jake's
Yeah.
last year, really. And it's crazy because this is business and personal and God. there's something about knowing for yourself. There,
Mm.
it hits different, like the way you move when you. So it's one thing to go to. So there's this. I used to be let's go to church. I ain't got no problem going to church. I went to Liberty, baby. I've been going to church since Jesus was a baby. Okay, I've been going to church since I was little. Okay, I grew up in church. Okay, was on the choir board, all the things. But actually spending time with God and knowing His Word, and man, we've been talking in the group chat. I've been telling them how indulged I've been with Genesis. I said, baby, I don't need Atlanta Housewives. They done flooded the earth. The brothers done killed each other. The Esau and Jake, they taking birthrights. Cursing, getting sold into slavery, baby. Listen, I don't watch TV no more. I just read the Bible because
When I tell
listen,
you,
the
that's
drama of it
all.
all,
Yeah, literally. When I tell you Judges
of it
has
all.
been stressing me out, the book of Judges
Listen,
has truly been stressing me out. But also, I love how you just said, too, like, you don't need Atlanta Housewives. You just read the Bible. That's also
just read the
something,
Bible.
that's the
What?
mind, that is the biggest mindset key. But one of the biggest mindset keys that I'm going to be teaching is like, what are you doing? Not just what are you doing, but what are you consuming? You're wondering why you can't get to where you want to be. And it absolutely, and it like Loki has nothing to do with you waking up at 5 a.m. or not. You're waking up at 5 a.m., but then when you wake up at 5 a.m., you start scrolling. What are you doing? What are you really doing? And that's the biggest part that I want to touch on is that it goes beyond your behaviors because your behaviors is just a result of what's going on internally. It's just a result of what's going on mentally. And so if you can get to the root, because your mentality is always going to be the root. When you change your mentality, then you start changing the behaviors. You start changing behaviors, you start changing the character, you start changing everything. So being able to get to those roots. But I just wanted to ask that because it's like, I feel like, well, I don't feel like, I know, like I've seen tremendous growth, not just for you, like business wise, but like when you really began to lean in to your relationship with God, the mentality, the mindset has shifted and it shows in your business, right? It shows in your business. Like business is limitless to you just as much as numbers are. But then I feel like when you really like tapped into the source, it all like pretty much came full circle for you.
Yeah. So I will say this. Um, it's the knowing yourself part. And what I mean by that is I think as Christians, we always like to highlight what God promises us,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't do our follow through. So
Look at
what
me, I'm
that means
leaning
is
in because come on.
so because what happens is I know all the good parts of like God saying not the it shall be given unto you, good measures pressed down, but we forget about how you have to give
Yes.
and it shall be given back to you, right? Or God saying to delight himself in you. Or
Yes.
to I mean, I think my language has even changed where I feel like I don't even want to ask God for what I desire, but the desire now is more of him because he already promised me a thing. And
Mhm.
he ain't never not come through. That's on
Yeah.
period.
He
He
is
ain't
a
never
promise
his his
keeper.
his record is 100 out of 100, okay? So if I
Literally.
know that to be true, why wouldn't I do the thing that I know that I need to do to get to the thing that he says he's promising me?
Mhm.
And the reality situation is I believe in all relationships. So my relationship with God, my relationship with people who are in my inner circle, they are a mirror of who I am.
Yeah.
And because of that, I see myself in such a different aspect because it's a different realm of like the way that I love myself, the way that I show up for myself is the same way that the people who are in my inner circle show for me because they're the mirror of who I am.
Yes. Oh,
But the other
yes.
thing is if you find yourself and you're listening to this and you're like the people who I surround myself with are if you believe that to be true, that they're mirroring who you are, but your
Yes.
friends are flaky, your friends don't show up for you, they are a mirror. There are some things that can't be healed or seen unless we're in communion with one another. So the people you hang out with that you have the highest esteem for, if they are flaky, they don't show up for you, they not reposting your stuff, that says more about you than about them. What mirrors are in your life? And then the people who don't even want to have a conversation about the mirror part, but you're comparing yourself to other people, those are the window seat people. You
Wow.
watching other people and you're like, why ain't this happening for me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see such and such. Because the reality situation is I went through a whole divorce and moved to Richmond and had my whole isolation season, but made 6 figures. Now I'm saying, like, love being married, want to be married again. Let's be clear. Okay. That is the promise. Okay. And also, I don't know, like, people have an understanding of like what they might need to sacrifice or what that journey might look like to get to that other place. Because I
Yeah.
wouldn't trade anything that has happened to me in the last 5 years for what I have now with the squad, the group chat, seeing Sarah Jakes, making
Wow.
more money than I ever made in my life with ease, being able to show up and show out, speaking engagements, not just here in Virginia, but in different states, people seeking me out. I mean, there's even this whole position at the SBDC here. I was sought out. I was minding my own entrepreneur business, doing financial fancy solely by herself. I wasn't looking for a job. So it wasn't even like I was looking. It came looking for me. And because that door opened, it opened up something bigger than I could even conceive. But in the midst of that, I felt isolated. I was
Yeah.
still grieving. There was a lot of things happening in the background that I had to like deal with. But at the same time, his promises were pure and they kept showing up for me. And I've never gone without. Point
Yeah.
blank period. So even when I feel like it's too much or I want to pass it or I don't want this no more, God continues to show up in a way that gives me more strength, more encouragement, more power, because I know that my being is connected to someone else's blessings. So I gotta show up.
Ooh, where would all the people be if you didn't show up?
Listen, we've been doing since the new year. The pastor been talking about influencing and being
Yes.
an influencer. And actually, I just joined a church in October that I finally found since I've been in Richmond, and they make us do a gifts test. And one of my gifts was apostleship. And if you read the description, it says to be an influencer and leaders. And I was like, because when I saw the word at first, I was like, I'm not an apostle. What? But then I got to read and I was like, maybe I am. Maybe I am. I was telling one of my best friends, I was like, I never really considered myself a leader. I think it's something that naturally comes to me, because I sold Girl Scout cookies. I was head of cheerleading squad, but never called myself a leader. Like I was just being who I authentically am, caring for people, showing up for people, helping the girl, whatever that looked like. But now I'm just like, oh, okay, I think I get it now. But I don't want to be one of those leaders like do as I say. I want to be one of those leaders like do as I do.
By example.
Yes.
Huh? Ooh, we just got heavy.
Yeah.
We just got heavy into it because
Nah.
what I
Yeah,
heard,
it's the real.
it was, first of all, we just scratched the little surface, meaning get all
Okay. Yeah, listen.
we heard was it's like, because it's like, how do you partner with God, amplify your business? And overall, it's like your obedience to what he was calling you to do. Like you didn't get, and this is where I think a lot of people messed up, is like they get hung up on, like you said, they get hung up on the promise, right? You lean so heavy on the promise and what God showed you that you feel like you don't have to do anything. But in order to get to the promise, it requires obedience.
Mm-hmm.
And obedience isn't always do, but obedience is whatever God told you to do, whatever move God told you to make. Like you said, when you moved to Richmond, you went through a whole isolation and then boom, like business was booming. You made the first 6 figures, you healed, you did all the things. But that required obedience. And that puts you on the path to receiving the promises that God has for you. I can't be like, well, God promised me this, so I'm gonna just sit here and I'm gonna still act the way that I act, and then the whole, your friends are a reflection of who you are. Something that people said for years is birds of a feather flock together. I understood it, but I didn't believe it. You know what I'm saying? So, because we always have this thought that like, well, just because, so-and-so is doing this and I hang out with them, that doesn't mean that I have to do it. That doesn't mean that I'm doing it. That doesn't mean that I'm this. But then it's also like if people see you two together and they know what that person is about, they automatically group you into whatever the person's activities are, whoever that person is, the character, and then you have to go out of the way trying to explain yourself. And it really don't have to be like that. You just have to be
Like
people. And
we
so
think too highly of ourselves. I think I'll say it. Listen, I'm gonna say it here. I usually don't say. I say it amongst friends because my friends hear me out. But I'll say this out loud because somebody need to hear it. At the core of because of who I am, I think at the core of what I believe is that people are trash. Not that people are bad, but I think because people don't know who they are. They don't know their core values. Have you ever had a conversation with someone and they're regurgitating something that they heard? That's that other copy paste stuff, not just in business, but in life.
yes.
And I'm like, okay, that's not your original thought. So you don't even know how you really feel about a thing because you don't even want to tap into what your feelings is. So let's talk about that. But on top of that, not only are you regurgitating something that you've heard, because because you're a copy paste person, you don't even know what you believe at the core. That's why you do conflicting things. Someone who says that they're pro-life but they don't support Medicare scaling, like those things go together, right? Children are on Medicare with that's the whole point, right? People who say they don't do one thing but they again the opposite of the thought process, and I'm just like, oh, you don't know what you believe.
Actual mentality.
You don't know what you believe. You don't know who you are. And if you got to the core of who you are, you would show up differently. And then that other part of knowing who you are comes with that accountability piece. And that's the part that people don't want to take action on. Be like, oh, well, if I'm saying, oh, so I'll tell you this one story. We done got deep. I think so. The reason why I say I think most people are trash is because I think people are kind, but they're not caring.
Mm.
So what happens is ego sets in. So there's a story where I saw this guy coming out. So there's a big homeless problem here in Richmond. Homeless guy sitting outside the CVS. I see a guy go into CVS, and no sooner had he, because I'm putting the coupons. You know, I'm a coupon lady. Putting the coupons on my phone, on the app on my phone, and I'm watching this happen. The guy goes in, he comes out, he has a sandwich, looks like a sandwich, some chips, and a drink that he got at the CVS, and he's handing it to the guy. And as he's walking away, he gets in his car and looks back, and he sees the guy throwing the sandwich away. So the guy giving, he's kind. Okay, follow me. But then he gets enraged, his ego. He
Mm.
runs up to the guy's like, why'd you throw away the sandwich? You know, like you're homeless. Like you gotta eat the sandwich. The guy's like, I have celiac. So not only do not I am without a home, I don't have health and care insurance. So if I eat this, I'm gonna get sick because I can't handle, my body can't handle gluten. I love that you gave me the sandwich, but like now I'm filling the blanks because I don't know what they're actually saying because I'm in my car. But I'm like, you see the exchange, the guy's mad, but the homeless guy's trying to explain like I can't eat this because, but the caring action here would have been if he asked the man, hey, can I get you something?
Yeah.
Before he went to the CVS. And a lot of us are do-gooders, but we want people to accept the way that we do our do-gooder, but we don't actually care and ask the person what they need, right? So
Really impactful.
right. So because I was telling somebody else this other thing. I said, um, you can have all of the great intentions.
I was just getting ready to say that.
Everybody has good, I think everyone has the ability or has the know-how, like really have good intentions, but their impact be hidden different. It's very much I heard the past mayor Tweety she was mentioning that there's 200 nonprofits in Lynchburg. 200 nonprofits in Lynchburg, and we still have a food deserts. We still have unemployment at a high state, poverty levels still very high. You know, one of her campaigns was to lower the poverty rate, and she did a very good job of that. But you know, there's still work to be done. But the question is like, if there's so many people doing heart work, that's what nonprofit is, heart work, right?
Hard work.
Where's the impact? Where are we quantifying the impact? Oh, you guys like to work in silos. This nonprofit's doing the same thing as this nonprofit. And that's not just in Lynchburg, that's all over the place. It's because everyone wants to give their opinion on the tables, but then nobody want to do the work. Because it takes work to do the work. And it takes work to do the work, not just in entrepreneurship or in life. You got to do the work. What's the work look like? Are you trying to be kind? Are you trying to be caring?
And that even brings me back to like purposeful business, right? Your why and knowing why you want to do what you want to do. Said this on the previous episode, and I think this might have been the episode with Angelina, or probably is several episodes, honestly, is like 9 times out of 10, your purpose is always going to be rooted in the help or the service to other people, right? And so like, oh man. And so basically like that whole thing between being a do-gooder versus actually being impactful are two different things. It absolutely is two different things. You can have all, like you said, you can have all the intentions in the world, but that does not automatically equate to the impact being heavy or even what you thought it was going to be. Because it's when you're doing a service to others, what do people need? What do people need? So that actually just blew my mind, what you said about the nonprofits, how it's 200 nonprofits, because that tells me it's like, this is what I do. That 200 nonprofits, but very low impact here, tells me that it's like, I'm starting a nonprofit because this is what I want to do. I want people to do this. I want people to have this, but is this what the people need? Right. A nonprofit is hard work. Is this something that God has called you to do, or this is just a big idea that you had that you wanted to run with? What's the purpose? What's the why? What's the impact? What's the outcome? What is the service? What is the service?
Or could you have volunteered for another organization that's already doing what you conceptually thought you wanted to do? What we doing? So let's even add this to entrepreneurship. Something I started a little over a year ago. I let clients, so the care work. So let's move this into entrepreneurship. To be kind, right? You work with somebody. To care is, for me, is I let clients pick their due dates for when they want their invoices. So instead of making it the first, when as a bookkeeper, I know typically for all entrepreneurs, that's a heavy month for their cash flow. They're paying rent or a lot, right? So the caring part of me is like, actually, you pick your date. Is the 10th or the 15th better for you? Do we need to split I have one client, she splits up her invoice on the 1st and the 15th, right? So again, like how do you show, and not saying caring needs to be your core value. For me, caring is, what does that look like in your business though, in your core values? How do you show up? Like I send emails to clients randomly, text message, hey, just checking in on you. Come to find out a client was having a situation, and I was like, girl, say less. Right. When you get yourself straight, check back in with me. Literally. What do you need from me? Right. So, and that might be crossing boundaries for some people, but for the way that I conduct business, like the caring really is that, yes.
You have to, that we're not here to not care. And that's just real. Like everybody, we all need each other in some way or capacity. So even if your business is not based in like the hard work, like you said, like finances is not like the hard work, but for you, because this is your purpose, it automatically comes with the territory. Not only are you servicing someone's finances, but you're doing a service to them and their overall life in general. And even to a certain degree, their mindset. Right. And how they show up in their business, making sure that they are having not just a scalable, profitable business, but also an impactful, purposeful business. In the way that you service them, it also helps them to service others in that same way, in that same light. Man. Business, money, purpose. Business, money,
purpose. Yes.
Business, money, purpose. And so I thank you for kicking off the March segment in this way.
Thank you for having me.
Truly, we hit on business and money and purpose.
I understood the assignment. Hey.
I understood the assignment, but as you always do, like this is what we know. So, and of course, to end the episode, I always give people homework. So this is the part where y'all want to get your notebook, you want to get your pen, because let's talk about the homework. What is something, because obviously as a guest, you have to give people something to think about or something that they can ponder on. So what would you say their homework takeaway should be for this episode? And I will follow up with something as well.
Okay. So I got 2 homework assignments. Listen. So the first homework assignment is to pick one structure of your systems, right? So maybe it's your intake, maybe it's how you onboard people, maybe it's your discovery call, maybe it's your offboarding, and figure out what that needs to look like to be maximized, right? So maybe you're like, Charisse, I didn't even think about following up with clients, right? I hear that a lot. A lot of people can be repeat customers if you follow up with them. So after they finish your program, or after you've done their bookkeeping, or if after they buy something for you, they should receive an email or some kind of note saying thank you for your purchase, and we would love a review from you. And you know what? Now you've created a review that you can use as content, right? So now that they're actually doing the heavy lifting for you. Sometimes, again, we haven't created those infrastructures where the business is doing the lifting for us, right? The second homework assignment would be is know your numbers. Like, look at your numbers. At least promise that you're going to look at your numbers once a month. A lot of times I run into clients who I do their taxes and they haven't looked at their numbers the whole year. And then at the end of the year, I've been having more and more clients where I'm like, hey, so you're gonna owe like $10,000. And they're like, what? And they're taken aback. But the crazy part is the reason why they're taken aback is because they've been buying those Louis Vuitton bags and not been investing in themselves and putting retirement money aside. And they would have been in a better position, right? Because we can get very there's something about making a lot of money and you spend it as quickly as you get it. So and before you know it, you're like, you just because your bank account doesn't reflect how much money you made, the things around you shows what you made. So for people like, oh, I made 6 figures. That's not what's in my bank account. Yeah, because you spend it on eating out. Look, I'm the person who can't even see my money because, baby, I be eating it. Okay, I'm a foodie. I be eating out. I be doing experiences. I just went to a comedy show last week. You know what I'm saying? So I can't even be like, I spent money, but I don't know where it went. So yeah, don't be spending that money as fast as you get it. Make sure you tell your money where it needs to go, and then have the fun too. Like, not saying you can't have the fun, but make sure when you get that money, put that 30% aside for the taxes, 10% to the Lord, and then money that needs to be for the operating, and then a little bit money for you to play with.
Play with. Employing your money.
Yes.
My homework assignment for y'all will be, and this is for, if you are or are not a business owner, entrepreneur, whatever it is, this is for everybody. Like and we're going to talk about quantifying the time, right? Because regardless of if you're running a business or not, everybody needs to quantify their time because time is an investment. One of the biggest things I heard was like, time, we talk about time spent or spending time when time is actually an investment. Are you just spending it frivolously? Are you spending your time frivolously, or is your time an investment and it will actually enhance whatever it is that you have going on later? So, for example, I'm spending time by just sitting and binge watching TV when I could be investing my time in working on my business or X, Y, and Z. And that's not to say, no free time or self-care, but you want to make sure that you are making the investments with your time when you need to and not just spending it all the time. Because if you're spending time, you're going to be broke. The same as if you're spending money, you're going to be broke. At some point, you have to invest it if you want to get further. So pay attention to your day-to-day and figure out where you're spending time versus where or how you could be investing your time. And that is the homework for the people. I thank y'all for tuning in with us. And I will talk to y'all next week.
Bye.